Hello everyone, welcome to our lecture on preprocessors in C. In this lecture, we are going to see the 4 different types of preprocessor directives available in C language and how they work. Now, preprocessor, the term is actually self-explanatory. It means that before the processing, what the step is performed is called the preprocessor. Preprocessor is basically the program that processes our source program before it passes to the compiler. So this is the part where before the compiler will be processed. Preprocessors commands or preprocessor directives, or simply we can say the directives, are replaced by a suitable form in this stage. We are going to see all that with examples later in this video. Now, at the preprocessor state, it generates a expanded source code from the text from the source code, that is with the .c extension source code, which goes into compilation. So actually we are passing the expanded source code to the compilation, and all the preprocessor directives start with a hash symbol. So if we go for the different, if we look at the different stages through which the C file goes, then first we write the code in the text editor. So we are creating a C source code with the extension .c. After that, the preprocessor state, what we are discussing right now, will be executed, and it will generate a expanded source code with the extension .i. Then this expanded source code will go to the compiler and it will generate the object code with the extension .obj. This object code is nothing but a binary file which will be understandable to the machine. So it is basically the machine language file. Then at the stage of linker, where all the library functions which are used in your source code will be linked from the library files. So by this we create the executable file which we actually run to get our out. So these are the different stages of C code processing. As I have already mentioned, that there are 4 types of preprocessor directives. The first one is file inclusion, which you have used in almost all of the source code you have written. It is written by hash include. So in hash include is the file inclusion directives. Then there is macro expansion. We are going to mainly focus on the macro expansion in this lecture. So it is written as hash define. So hash define is the preprocessor directives for macro expansion. Then there are conditional compilation directives. Those are hash if, hash I, if def, and there are several other conditional compilation preprocessor directives, and there are some miscellaneous preprocessor directives like undef, and for some compiler there are hashtag pragma, and some others are also available, and these are mainly dependent on the compilers. So let us discuss the file inclusion preprocessor directives. In our source code, we have included the header files using the hash include, then the header file name. So in that stage, actually we are using the preprocessor directives for file inclusion. So you can see that we have written this statement several times to include the stdio.h, that is the standard input output header file. What it actually do, it will copy each and everything written in the stdio.h header file into your source code. So whatever that is written in the stdio.h header file, that will be included in the source code you are writing. For including a file, there are 2 different notation is available. The one notation we have used is we are writing in the triangular bracket or less than greater than symbol. We have used that one. Now other notation is we are going to write the file name in double quotation, what we have done over here. So we can write in this case hash include stdio dot h double quotation close. Now this and this notation perform the same kind of task, but their process of performing is little bit different. So in case of when we are mentioning the file name in double quotation, it will look for the file, that is in this case it is stdio.h file, in the current directory first. If found, copy the content of the file, that is the purpose of the hash include, into your source file. If not found, then it will look for that file in the particular directory mentioned as include directory. So each and every compiler, C compiler, have a particular directory called include directory, and it will look for that file firstly on your current directory, then it will go for if it is found, then it will copy the content of that file into your source code. If not found, then it will go for the include directory. And if it found, then it will copy, else it will throw an error that the file couldn't be found. Next, the notation we have generally used, that is hash include in triangular bracket the file name dot extension. So here we have used this notation. In this case, the file will be searched in the include directory only. If not found, then it will going to throw an error. So let us take an example and let us see what we mean by the current working directory and the include directory. Here I have all my source code. So this is my current working directory. So this file, this example is to make you understand the difference between the triangular bracket and the double quotation when we are using the hash include preprocessor directives. Now here you can see that we are included func1.c source file into our source code. Now this is written in the triangular bracket, means it will look for this file into the include directory. Now we haven't mentioned that this which is actually available in this directory. So you can see this is my file. Now this directory is not mentioned in my include directory, so it cannot find that one. So if I compile this code, then it is going to throw me an error. So you can see that it is throwing an error because it couldn't find that file. Now instead of using the triangular bracket, if we go for the double quotation symbol, then it will look for this file into my current working directory, which is this directory, and it is available there. So as it is available there, it will not going to throw me an error. So let me first compile this one and see that there is no error. Error is 0. Now as the compilation has been done, means after compilation linking is already done and the executable file has been created. Now I can run this code. Now if I run this code, what it will do, as we know that it will include or it will copy each and everything written in the func1.c source file. So it will going to perform each and everything written in that file. So what is the purpose of this one? As we have already discussed, it will going to give me the addition of 2 integer value, and that will be shown. So if you run the func1.c source file, then it is going to give me this output, and it will ask for 2 values and it will perform the addition of those 2 values. So I am getting this output. Similarly, now if I run this file, as each and everything written in that file is copied into my file, so if I run this one, it will perform same as that file. So you can see that we are getting the same output for those 2 files. That is because we have included each and everything in this file to our process1.c preprocessor1.c source file, and that is how the file inclusion directive will work. File inclusion directive works. Next, we are going to discuss about the macro directives. It is written as hash define followed by the macro template followed by the macro expansion. So it will be written in this example. It is written as hash define, that is the directives, Now this max is the macro template and this 25 is called the macro expansion. In pre-processing state, every macro template will be replaced by its expansion. And as per the convention, the macro template will be written in uppercase. So we have written that macro template in uppercase, that is max. Now, if this is the source code before pre-processing, so we have used the macro template here and here, and by the definition each and every macro template will be replaced by its expansion, that is here the value is 25. Then after the pre-processing we are going to get max will be replaced by 25 and here the max will be replaced by 25. Before the pre-processing I will get this one and after the pre-processing I will get this kind of code. Actually you are not going to see this file. I have put that screenshot to give you an idea how the macro expansion will work, but you will not be able to see this transformation from macro template to the macro expansion. Once again, this max will be replaced by 25. Similarly, this max will be replaced by 25 after the pre-processing. Now, if I write printf max equals to %d max, remember one thing, this max is not a pre-processed directive. So this max is not actually this macro template. It is written in double quotation. That means it is just a simple string. So output will not be 25 equals to 25. It will be max equals to 25. So keep in mind that each and everything matches with the macro template is not that macro template. If it is written in double quotation, it is not the template, it is a simple string, right? But here this max is the template we are talking about. Do we have used any macro template till now? The answer is yes. We have used the null. It is a macro template which is defined in the stdio.h and its expanded value is 0. So in stdio.h the null macro has defined or has expansion value of 0. Now you are going to use the EOF, which is also a macro in case of file handling in C. Similarly, we have used several other macros in our source file, but at that time we do not know that it was the macro template which is expanded later. Let us see this example by running a code. So this is the same code we have explained in our example. So let me run this code and see what the output we are getting. The I value is 10. So if we run this code, we are getting that it is the maximum value is 25 because the max value is 25. Now let us change the value of max to suppose 5. Then we are going to get that 10 is maximum because here the max will be replaced by 5. So you can see that it is 10. Now let me get back to a max equals to 25 and making I equals to 100. The condition will be 100 less than 25. So if we run this code, then we are going to get the maximum value is 100. So that is how the macro will work. Now let us take another example where the macro expansion is not a single value but a statement. So here you can see that the loop is the macro template and instead of a single value we have written a for loop which is the expansion. So in this case this macro template will be replaced by this expansion, and what it will do now, it will perform the printing of value of I from 0 to less than 5, that is 4. So it will print 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now come to this macro expansion where we have defined H loop as the macro template, and here you can see that we have mentioned 3 lines within expansion part, or how we can write multiple lines in the expansion by using the backslash. Each and every line will be followed by backslash. Then in the new line we can write that the next line. So here we have written a backslash, then the second line, that is followed by the backslash, followed by the last line. So here what will happen, that each loop will be replaced by this each loop template will be replaced by the expansion, and in the expansion what we are doing, we are obviously printing from 0 to 4, similar to the previous one. Let me first compile this code, and if we run this code, then we are going to get 0 1 2 3 4, then 2 new lines, then 0 1 2 3 4. So you can see that we are getting the output we are expecting. Now, so by this way we can write not a value but a statement, even a multiple statement within the macro expansion. Now, macro can take arguments also. It can accept multiple arguments and produce the result depending on the argument. By this, we can say that macro can be a faster alternative for a function. Why we are calling it faster, that will be clear to you later, but it can be an alternative to some functions. So let us take this example where the max is the macro which is taking two arguments x and y, and how it will be expanded. It will be expanded as x greater than y question mark x colon y. So it is basically the use of conditional operator to find the maximum value between the two value. Here it is x and y. Now we are taking two input from the user a and b and putting into the a value and b address of a and address of b. Then we are using maximum equals to this macro template. Here how it will be expanded? It will be expanded as a greater than b. Remember, this total thing will be replaced, this total thing will replace this template, and in that one the argument x and y will be replaced by the argument a and b in actual. So it will be a greater than b question mark a colon b, right? So maximum will be this one. So it will find the maximum value from a and b, and it will print the maximum value which is depend on the input of a and b. So let me run this code. So let us first compile this and run. Now if we give a value 5 and b value 10, obviously 10 is the maximum, so maximum will be 10. Similarly, so if we give 34 and 5, so maximum value is of a, so it will give me 34 by using the conditional operator and using the macro with argument. As macro can take argument, in some cases it can replace a function, and it will be much more faster than using a function in some cases. We are going to discuss that. Let us take another example where the macro is taking argument. What argument? Here the area x comma y is the template, and it will be expand as x into y. So we are basically finding the area of a rectangle. So we are taking the size of two sides as in a and b. Then we are using that macro template with a and b and putting into AR1. Then we are using that template, but here the argument is not a and b, it is a plus 3 comma b plus 2, and we are putting that into AR2. AR3 is a floating type of variable which is initialized to 0, and it will be used in the later part of the code. So this statement has been commented out. We are going to see what is the purpose of this, and finally we are printing the AR1, AR2 and AR3 value. So AR3 it will be 0 for this up to till now. Now let me compile this code and see if I give the value 2 and 8 as an input, what value should we get? So A will be replaced by 2. So AR1 will be 2 into 8, that is x into y, that is 16. So AR1 will be 16. Similarly, the expected value of AR2 will be 2 plus 3, that is 5, into 8 plus 2, that is 10. So the expected value of AR2 is 50. So let me run this code and see what output we are getting. So 2 and 8 is the input, but in case of AR2, instead of getting 50, we are getting 28. Now let me discuss that why we are getting that value and what is the way out or what is the solution of this problem. So consider on the case 1 and case 2 first. So here A value is 2 and B value is 8. As A value is 2 and B value is 8, this macro template, first it will be expanded as A into B, and A value is 2 and B value is 8, means 2 into 8, that is 16. Similarly, in this case, the macro template will be replaced by its expansion. So expansion is now A plus 3 into B plus 2. That is, considering A value is 2 and B value is 8, it will be 2 plus 3 into 8 plus 2. Now, as we know that multiplication have the higher precedence than the addition, so 3 into 8 will be done first, so it will be 24. Then 2 plus 24 plus 2, that is 28. That is the output we are getting. Right? So what is the way out or what is the solution for solving this problem? The solution is to use the bracket in case of each and every argument. So let us put that bracket and see we are able to solve this problem or not. Let me comment out the erroneous line, comment out the problematic line and put a bracket over here. So let me run this code and see we are getting 16 and 50 for AR1 and AR2 or not. So put value 2 and 8 as the input. So we are getting the expected output. Now let us remove the commenting of on AR3 and see what output we are going to get. So as we have calculated AR1 value is 16, it may be expected that we are getting 16 by 16 for AR3 and it will give me 1. But see, if we compile this code with the value 2 and 8, we are not getting 1, we are getting 64. The reason is this expression here, it will be AR3 equals to 16.0 divided by the value of A is 2 into 8. Right? Value of B is 8. Now, as per the associativity for multiplication and the division, it is from left to right, so it will perform 16 by 2, that is 8 into 8. So I will get 64 for AR3. So how can we solve this problem? By putting the total expansion into the first bracket or into the parenthesis. So let me put that into the parenthesis. So this is not going to help me. So let me comment it out, and here we have put all the arguments in the parenthesis as well as all the total expansion is within the parenthesis. So this will give me the expected output for AR1, AR2 and AR3. So let me put 2 and 8 for A and B, and you can see that we are getting all the expected output. So let me ask you a question. If we do not go for parenthesis for the whole expansion, but if we not go, if we comment it out, if we comment this line out and use this expansion only and use AR3 is equals to this statement, what will be the value for AR3? Calculate it by yourself and see what output you are getting. Next, we are going to discuss about the macro and a function. Can each and every function be replaced by a macro, and why we do not replace all the functions by a macro? The first thing is that let us see this example. Here in case of macro, we do not need to give the type or data type of the argument which is necessary for the function. So this is an advantage for a macro. So in case of x and y, in the x and y, instead of giving integer, you can give float, double character, whatever, but it will perform its operation without any hesitance. But in case of function, you need to give the data type. So it is a big advantage of macro. Obviously, it is faster than function. The reason is that the function, when you are calling a function, there is a context switch from the calling function to the called function, and after the called function has performed its job, then there is a context switch from the called function to the calling function, and that context switch will take a amount of time which is not applicable in case of macro, because there is no context switching. So that is why the macro will work faster than a function. But what are the disadvantages of macro? The disadvantage is that the final source file size will increase. Why it is increased? Suppose you are replacing a function which have hundreds of lines, 100 lines in it. So you are replacing with the macro. So you are giving 100 lines in the macro. Then that function is called that function is called 100 times in your source file. So when the preprocessor will work on your code, it will replace that expansion, 100 line expansion at 100 positions. So it will increase your code by 10,000 lines. Now, as it is creating a huge file, so obviously your source file size will be increased. That is why we do not replace all the functions with a macro, though macro is faster. The other is that the functions support recursion, and we know that using recursion the function can implement tough logic in a simple way. But in case of macro, there is no way to implement recursion, and that is why we go for the function. So what is the actual use of a macro? The macro is used mainly to make your code more understandable, as well as understandable means it will be easier to understand for the people who is going to see your code for debugging or anything else purpose, as well as we can use the macro to declare the constants which are mainly done in the header files. Header files have the constant in forms of macros. So let us take the third type of macro, that is the conditional compilation macro directives. Here there are several like #if, #elsif, #endif to close the if, then ifdef and ifndef. So let us see example of this and explain what the output we are getting. So in this part you can see that, let me first comment out this line. Here we are using the conditional compilation of conditional compilation directives. What directives we are using? If def and endif. Similarly, if endef, then endif. Now, what does it do? If def tells that if this macro is defined, then this part of the code will be compiled. Now, this thing tells me if max is not defined, then this part of the code will be compiled. Remember how it can ensure that it will be compiled or not compiled, because preprocessor works before the compilation. So if we run this code, here you can see that max is not defined. So this part will not be compiled, only this part will be compiled, and my output will be max is not defined. So you can see that it is saying it is the output. Now if I activate this line, now here max is defined, so this part of the code will be compiled, this will not be compiled, and I will get the maximum value of I and max. So I will get, sorry, let me first compile this code. So I will get 25 as the output. Next, we are going to use, let me come to the last type of preprocessor directive, that is the miscellaneous. There are several different types of there are several types of preprocessor directives are available. Some of them is for all the compilers, some of them are compiler specific, like Pragma is a compiler specific directives. It have a huge use in the Turbo C. In Dev C, it does not have that much of use. But this undef, this macro directive is available to all the compiler, and let us see what is the purpose of this one. The undef, this miscellaneous directives is used to undefined any macro which is already defined. So if I activate this line, so what will happen over here? It will first, now it will check for that max is defined or not. As it is defined, it will give me the value which satisfies this condition. Then it is undefining that max. So as max is now undefined, then this is also true. So this part will be compiled. Then it will going to give me max is not defined. So let me compile this code and see what is the output where I am getting. So you can see that I am getting 25 and max is not defined. 25 for this part of the code and max is not defined for this part of this code. Now let me change the code a little bit. Here we are using hash if that directives, conditional compilation directives, and we are going to see what is going on. The thing is that we are writing if max is greater than 10. So max is the preprocessor macro template. We are checking that is expansion value is greater than 10 or not. As in our case it is true, so we are going to undefine it, right? Then we are closing this if as endif, hash endif. Then as we are undefining it, so obviously this condition will be false. Now as this is false, so this will not be compiled. What part of the code will be compiled? This part of the code is compiled. So if we compile this code and run this, it will going to give me max is not defined, right? So that is how we can use the miscellaneous directives. Now for Pragma, if this code can be run, will produce me the expected output in the Turbo C compiler only. Here with Pragma, I am using a parameter that is startup followed by A. Then Pragma exit B. What is A and B? A and B, you can see that are two functions. A function return type is void and it is not taking any input argument. Similarly, B function is not taking any input argument and its return type is void. Remember to use this Pragma, the function here, the A and B are the function name. The functions should not take any input argument and should not return any value. Now what will happen over here? If you run this code in Turbo C, it will first, as we know that the main function is the first function is called and executed, but in this case, as we are mentioning a as the startup function, so a function will be executed first, then the main function, and as we are mentioning b function as the exit function, then after main the b will be executed with a as, and you can see that b is not calling a or b anything. So the output will be in a function, then in main function, then in b function, then it will return to the operating system. So in this way, this is one particular use of Pragma which you can verify in the Turbo C compiler, but there are several other use of the Pragma in the Turbo C and the other compilers also. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next video when we are going to discuss about the storage class available in C. So stay safe. Thank you.